Hey Cancer, how's it going? My name's Alex, and I think the Oracle and I might have some useful insight for you today. Before I turned on the camera, I did a little meditation tuning into your vibe, and I asked the Oracle to give me anything that you need to be focusing on, anything that you need to know. And it usually comes in the form of symbolism or imagery in my mind's eye. And then after that, I got you an I Ching hexagram to contemplate. And after we do that, we'll get into some tarot cards. But the first thing I saw when I was meditating was someone meditating. You know, it was me. It was in my person, like first person view, but I think this was you. You were sitting in meditation, and originating from within your third eye was this blue halo of energy, just like a blue ring. And it expanded outward and encompassed the whole world very, very rapidly. Just this blue ring of energy, this light. And it went around the whole world and back into your third eye. And it was pretty cool. It felt pretty surprising, very interesting. It was neat. And then after a minute, after that vision faded, I saw, this was kind of intense, but it was in the ancient days, or maybe the medieval era, judging by the dress. It was a monk who had been immolated, or who was on fire. And he looked completely unperturbed by this. Like, he did not care. He was not showing any signs of pain or anything. He was just sitting there, burning. And there was an old, it wasn't uncommon for monks in Asia in the medieval era to self-immolate. It was basically an extreme way of proving that you're not attached to the world. It's like the most extreme symbolism for, the ego death, as New Agers would call it, of just being detached from the world. I don't think, it's just symbolism, of course. And this was in the ancient days, this image. It's nothing that's going to happen, or it's not anyone you know or anything like that. It was just a symbol. I also got the vibe that some of you might be dealing with physical pain. Perhaps you have some condition, or maybe a recent injury or something, or an injury that just didn't heal right. But if that is the case, God forbid, but if it is, I think this was trying to say that there are ways you can find pain management within yourself if other forms of pain management haven't been working. I know I am pretty good at managing pain with my third eye, in fact, which reminds me of the first vision. But for example, whenever I get a tattoo, or if I'm at the dentist getting a cavity filled or something like that, I focus all of my mental attention on the spot between my brow, in the middle of my brow. All my mental attention, maybe even my eyes, when I close my eyes, I'll point my eyes upward. And sometimes I'll imagine a little light in there. But basically that dulls the pain in the rest of my body. It dulls the physical sensation. And maybe you want to look into that. Maybe that will help. It helps me. But those are the two things I got in meditation, and we'll develop them further when we do the cards. But the I Ching hexagram I got you was hexagram number 20. That's Guan, or watching, Contemplating is another translation. And it had a changing line, the top line, the sixth line. So hexagram 20 changes to hexagram 8, or union. Now, hexagram 20, guan, has to do with observing and examining, and contemplating and watching, both subjectively within oneself and objectively at the world and at others. And the name of the hexagram actually is the name of a type of bird, a guan. And it's a bird that has very big, bright eyes. It's got good eyesight. Also, they have little ideographs for the I Ching, not just hexagrams, but actual ideographs here. And you can see here, well, here's the bird with two big eyes, and then here's a vertical eye, and below that is the symbol Ren, or the symbol for a human being, with a big vertical eye on top of them. Now, if you've ever seen depictions of Shiva, you'll see a third eye, and it's vertical in the middle of his forehead. So a vertical eye symbolizes the third eye, your higher psychic or spiritual senses. So there's a ton of third eye symbolism in your reading today. It's very, very interesting how clear that is. There's something going on with maybe your clairvoyance or your clarity of thought, your ability to see the truth, your ability to perceive others and to perceive yourself accurately and truthfully. And this is a very important skill to develop. Especially today, there's so much deception and fraudulence and fakeness and superficiality these days that it's a very good skill to develop the ability to see not only others accurately, but yourself, and to be sincere with yourself. Now, actually, Taoist temples are called Dao Guan. This literally means a place to watch the Tao. And that's essentially what meditation is watching the Tao. Meditation is watching your breath, watching your energy, watching nothing, watching Tao. It's a type of awareness training, meditation. And in India, there's an incarnation of the Buddha who was called Avalokiteshvara. In China, that Buddha is called Guan Yin, which means watching the sound. And that's also another form of meditation, whether it's mantra chanting or something like that, or just nada yoga, which is meditation on sounds themselves. So there might be something to do with nada yoga that you want to look into. Nada yoga is like meditating on sound, first external sounds, then the sounds of your body, like your heartbeat or your breathing, then more subtle sounds of your body, like your inner ear, like the blood rushing through your inner ear, and then the sounds of your thoughts. You know how thoughts kind of have sound. You hear your inner voice, or you can hear thoughts in a way. And even subtler sounds where you get to the more transcendent spiritual sounds, like the ringing of the bells and the buzzing of the bees and the thunder. These are all deeper and deeper layers of spiritual, more and more subtle sound. And meditating on these layers from the external to the internal is called nada yoga, or watching sound, Guan Yin. And I know that nada yoga is a very, very effective yoga practice for many people. It's very effective for me. As a musician, I'm very close to sound. It makes sense to me. And meditating on sound and following sound back to its source, and then thought sound, and then spirit sound, and then transcendent sound is a very, very efficient way to get deep into meditation, for me at least. And it might be for you. I don't know. My ascendant is in Cancer, so perhaps it will work for you too. You might want to look up nada yoga. But there's a lot about meditation and watching and stillness and contemplating in this reading. And about the meditation, the purpose of self-awareness is to be vigilant with yourself. Now, another Taoist symbol for meditation is the fish, because its eyes are always open. It can never close its eyes. And Taoist monks used to carve these wooden fish and meditate with them, or use them like drumsticks to beat a drum. They'd have these wooden fish and just beat a drum with it to have that sort of shamanic trance type meditation. So maybe you want to try something like that. But to look at yourself and to watch yourself is really what you're being called to do here, because the top line is your changing line. And when that's the changing line in this hexagram, it essentially means you are the one being watched. You are watching yourself, and you are being watched by others. And there's no fault here. Maybe you were thinking of something you did in the past, and you just have to stop blaming yourself and move on. That's part of the lesson, is like learn the lesson. Learn from whatever it is that has you watching yourself, and don't get caught up on it. What's past is past, and move on. But, learn the lesson fully. And the sixth line, both the fifth and sixth lines are the strongest in this hexagram, because they're the only solid lines, the only yang lines. And generally the fifth line, the second to the top, is the king's line. That's where the king resides. And the sixth line is the position higher than the king, which is the sage. Sages in ancient China generally had more respect than the king or the government. Kings used to go to hermits and sages for counsel and advice. And this watching, there are two types of watching, especially in society. There's watching from above and watching from below. And the people watch from below their government, which is in the hierarchy of society. The government is above the people. And the people have to watch those who are above them to check for corruption, morality, justice, criminal behavior, and these types of things. So the people are always watching the government. And a government watches the people, and a proper government, and a government that's guided by sages, proper sages, will watch the people, find out what's going on, and will offer instruction to the people and make sure, life is working well, the economy is working well. They write the correct policies that people are doing what they ought to do to have a healthy and good civilization. So the sage here, the sage line, the sixth line, that's the changing line. That's the real heart of this reading, or this hexagram, is the one who watches himself, watches the government, and watches the people, all simultaneously. That's like the ruler. That's where the perfect ruler is situated, in that position of ever watchfulness, being watched, watching oneself, and watching others. And in that position, one must be sincere with themselves and with what they do. And your sincerity shows in your conduct. How you act will radiate whether or not you are sincere or insincere about your life, about what you're saying, that you're speaking the truth, that you're not lying, that you're walking the walk and you're talking the talk. You're doing, you're practicing what you preach. That's, and the people feel it. The people around you see. They know when you're practicing what you preach. We all feel it. It radiates out from us when we're being sincere and we act in sincerity. Our conduct is sincere, and it perfectly reflects the sincerity within ourselves. And we have to make sure that, we keep our hands clean, so to speak. We wash our hands with sincerity, and we act with sincerity. Because you're being watched by others, and you're watching yourself. And when that sincerity exudes from you, it inspires others to also act in sincerity, and everybody's conduct improves based on your example especially if you're at that 6th line. And according to this reading, that's where you are. Especially the initial inner eye image that I had was you meditating, and it looked like you're like very, very large, sitting on, imagine the world was like this big and you were like this big sitting on top of the world, and then that third eye ring beam encompassed the whole world and came back to you. So it's very interesting that I got that, and then afterward I got this hexagram for watching the world and then watching yourself. It fits really well, remarkably well. Sometimes this stuff surprises even me. So that was the initial part of the reading, and now I'm going to take a look at my own divination system that I developed. I have this big old board of wood, and there are 24 sort of aspects of reality that I carved in here. Like, I don't know if they're archetypes or what have you. But I'm going to spin a coin. The coin is going to point at one of these aspects of life or aspects of reality, and that's the aspect of your life that we're going to focus on and draw some cards on. So here we go. What does Cancer need to think about? Oh, coin landed upside down. Let's try that again. Landed upside down again. Hold on. 3rd time's a charm. You gotta be kidding me. 4th time's a charm. I swear this never happens. 5th time? This is odd. Let's try it the other way. Okay. 6th time's a charm. It landed and pointed at the symbol for Anael, the archangel, or the planetary spirit of Venus. Anael is sort of symbolic of like the mother of the universe, right? That Venus energy, that womb of reality. So, we'll pull a tarot card. That Venus, that's creation. It's fertility, that's where things gestate, where ideas gestate, where spiritual concepts grow before they manifest into the world. It's also about love and relationships, so maybe you got a honey on your mind. What does Cancer need to know about Venus, about Anael, about that part of their life? What does Cancer need to know? Is it both of these? Yeah, I'm feeling both of them. Oh, so we got the Ten of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles. Look at those pretty cards. So, the Ten of Cups, that's taking from heaven to increase what's on earth, you know, at least emotionally or spiritually. It's the proper ordering of life, right? And like heaven bestowing its gifts upon you. And the Ace of Pentacles is like a new beginning with, you know, Pentacles are kind of like the earthly realm. It could be with money, it could be with friends and family, it could be like a new business venture. The Ace is like new, raw, some new beginning. So these are very good cards to be pulled out with Anael. If you were concerned with how something would come into fruition, you know, we got a very contemplative reading here, right? Watching, contemplating, meditating, the immolating monk, it's all very contemplative, it's all very detached from the world, right? But the Ten of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles are not detached from the world. These are very worldly cards. So the contemplative energy is like you're contemplating how to start this new beginning. And it will be a very fruitful venture, whatever this, you have this new beginning, but it goes right to a 10, you know, your happiness, the reward. So you're contemplating correctly, you know, you're thinking it through, you're seeing what needs to be done, and apparently you're doing it. I'll pull another card from another deck. What does Cancer need to know about this? Anael, Ace of Pentacles, Ten of Cups, contemplation, watching, meditating. Oh, it's this one, isn't it? Ooh. Nurturing. Look at that. Both creepy and beautiful, huh? Nurturing. So these are based on Roman mosaics found in oracular temples, this deck of cards here. It's looks like he's got his coin in his mouth to pay Chiron to get across the river Styx. There also is what looks like a cicada and a book. So cicadas, I don't know if you know, but they don't have mouths. So this guy's got a coin on his mouth, but there's a cicada here, which doesn't have a mouth. Cicadas are very self-sacrificing. Cicadas live, they're born and live without consuming anything. And then they die. So they have no mouths, they have no stomachs. They just live and then offer their bodies up to nature, to the forest. They fertilize the soil with their bodies. They feed, all the animals eat cicadas. Like every 7 years when the cicadas come out on the East Coast here, I watch squirrels eat cicadas, for crying out loud. Everything eats them. The fish eat them. And they just add all this nutrient and life force and fertility to the forest and to nature around them. And, you know, this card of nurturing coming out on Anael. Anael is the archangel of nurturing, of care. So you're doing something right. It might require a little bit of self-sacrifice. That's probably along the lines of the contemplation you're doing, because in order to contemplate properly, it requires like sacrifice of the ego, sacrifice of maybe things you thought you wanted but are realizing that maybe you shouldn't go after them, or you don't really want them, that they're not the best thing for you. But I have a feeling these sacrifices will not be so difficult for you. After all, we have the Ten of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles here, so it will be something that you're kind of excited to get rid of. And like the immolating monk that I saw, he was completely unperturbed by the burning, by his self-sacrifice, right? It didn't bother him. It's like he was ready to move on to the next step. For you, it's symbolic. Don't do anything that those medieval monks would have done. I don't recommend it. But the idea is that you're ready to move on, and you know that the Ace of Pentacles is in that skull's mouth, right? He's got it. He's willing to pay Chiron to like move on to something new. You're like ready to go. You're contemplating, and you know what you have to do, and you're not afraid of the parts of your life that might be done and cast away. You know, move on. Move on. You might be becoming someone new, you know. A rebirth might be in order here. And Anael can help nurture you through that rebirth. You can re-enter the womb of reality and come back out as something new and fresh. And that's what that contemplation is, when you have a retreat from the world and you look at yourself and you look at the world and you contemplate. It is a type of death and rebirth. And I think you understand that. I think it seems clear to me that you're quite comfortable with that idea, and that this transformation is not very difficult for you. You just have maybe a little bit of guilt to get over, a little bit of some simple shames from your past that you just learn the lesson and move on. But yeah, I don't see much difficulty with you doing that. So I'm going to pull one more, not a card, it's a token. I carved 64 of these tokens to go with my divination system. I'll just pull one for you. One last thing to think about. What do you think, Oracle? What's the last thing Cancer needs to think about? The secret. The occult secret. It's a little padlock with an eyeball above it. This is from the group of occult tokens, and it's the locked secret, or the occult secret. Oh, and it has an eye. It's from the occult group, which is symbolized by that eyeball there. Huh. So much eyeball symbolism. Man, you are really aware of something, or becoming aware. You're seriously opening your third eye here. That's great. Keep that going, because I think you're unlocking some type of secret. I think that's what this is, because Anael opens things. You know, like the springtime, flowers bloom, things are open, things are revealed. The life that's been trapped underground over the winter is and is invisible to us. All that energy that's in the roots of all the plants and hidden underneath, and the animals that are hibernating in their caves and in the mud and frozen in the lakes and things like that. In the springtime, Anael reveals these things with the warmth of heaven pouring down onto the earth. Everything is opened and unlocked, and the death of winter becomes the life of spring. You know, it is nurtured. So there's some inner secret, I think, some sort of inner power that you're going to unlock, something that's been hidden from you. You're going to observe yourself, and within yourself, you're going to transform who you are fundamentally, and you're going to unlock some great power within yourself, and you're going to be able to move on with a new beginning that has an excellent result. That's fantastic, Cancer. I look forward to this for you. I'm very happy for you. Unlocking your inner strengths is always such an excellent and exalted state to be in, and you're truly blessed for what you are about to have in your life. And you should feel accomplished and proud of yourself for sincerely observing yourself and transforming yourself. It's no easy feat. I think that's all the Oracle and I have for you today, Cancer. It was great seeing you. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you again soon.